my dear friends and net aspirants, welcome back to yet another video lecture in the video lecture series of cultural studies. So like you can see today in this video we are going to learn about media culture and cultural studies. So we are actually trying to understand various concepts behind major tenets of cultural studies. So far we have learned about identity, representation and many more things related to cultural studies, and we will learn many more further things related to cultural studies, how culture studies, various theories are used in cultural studies further in the following modules. So let's start today's video. Before that, let me introduce the various other platforms that I am available. See, I have an Instagram page in which I am sharing lots of free materials related to NTA, UGC, NET, JRF, English language and literature. See, already we are sharing their study cards, small videos and quiz questions and answers, and also on every Monday especially we are sharing 10 to 15 questions related to a particular topic. All of these things you can have freely, and at the same time we are about to start small videos about small lecture videos about topics related to English language and literature. At the same time we will be doing reels more that will be a motivation for you to start your learning and be consistent in your studies. So we are actually planning many more things, including live video sessions once NTA announces the next schedules. And if you want to have all those things freely without any charge, you can come to my Instagram ID. My Instagram ID is right here. You can follow me there. If you are not in Instagram, it's easy to create. You can download it from Play Store. And also I'm maintaining a WhatsApp group in which I'm sharing daily quiz, question, answer, news and updates related to NTA, UGC, NET, as well as some relevant study materials there too. So if you want to join the WhatsApp group, you can go to the description box and click the link, or if not, you can directly message me or call me in this number given here, and I'll be sharing the link to you, and you and your friends, those who are interested, can join. And more than that, we also have a website known as www.highpoint.in. The link is there in the description box, or you can directly use the Chrome to come into my website, and you can have their really systematically arranged, chronologically arranged study materials that we have divided the entire NTA syllabus, NTA, UGC, NET, JRF English syllabus for you mainly under 10 subjects, and you can see what all we have provided there after having the free trial and having the free materials that we have provided there. See, we have provided 900 plus audio lectures spread under these 10 topics or modules, and along with that, for you to brush up your memory and be in consistently touch with literature, we have provided 300 plus PDF study materials which are downloadable, and along with that the whole set of practice and previous question papers. So you can find even the current or the most recent previous question paper there that are lively attemptable, and you can know your mark and progress once you submit your responses. And also this will be helpful for you to have an experience of attempting exam, and at the same time it will provide you more of knowledge about English language and literature to be inconsistent, and you can always come back to these materials as many times as possible as you want. So if you want to know more about it, please message me in this number. I'll be glad to share every other information. So once you join either of the courses, you will get 2 bonuses, which are the weekly test that we are conducting every Saturday, and we are not at all charging anything further for this weekly test that you will get regularly in every Saturdays, and also you will get a personalized study guidelines from us once you join for the course. And for these 2 bonuses we are not charging at all anything for them for now, and more than that, you will get a 15% of off in the free structure if you join now. So grab the situation, grab the offer, and don't waste your time by waiting for the next NTA UGC NET exam schedule notification, because start learning, and that will help you to revise the contents that you have already covered, and that will help you to memorize more while you attempt the exams. Okay, moving on, let's have an introduction about the topic of today's video, which is media culture and cultural studies. So what are the connections between these two, and how media culture is important in cultural studies? So before this video, we have learned, in the last video we have learned about cultural intermediaries. Cultural intermediaries, if you remember, they mediate between the production and consumption, and they make the product or service produced desirable through representation for the consumers, and ultimately persuade them to buy. So that's what a cultural intermediary does as process. Now let's have some introduction related to cultural studies and how in cultural studies media culture is relevant. Cultural studies interested in ways in which communication and community are linked. See, if you consider a culture of a society, how culture evolved and maintained and propagated, it is through communication. Through communication, we have a community, and if only there is a community, then culture is relevant, right? So cultural studies are very much interested in which how communication is happening, the ways in which communication and community are linked. Communication is about language, discourse, and representation. See, representation we have already I think we have already done it. See, communication, you need a medium, that means you need some sign system in order to communicate, right? That is language, and the context in which we are using that language through some representations, that is discourse. Representation is the thing is that how you are looking at that thing, how you are representing a particular ideology, a particular concept in a context. So that is discourse. And the representation brings what? Representation brings meaning and identity. And representation is the pivot of production, consumption, mediation of cultural products. So representation is the pivot, means it's the central point. It's the important point around which the whole thing is happening, like production, consumption, mediation of cultural products. See, for the example, take the example of film. See how this film is produced, how this certain concepts are represented in this film as far as the production is concerned, how this consumed, how this representation is consumed by the audience, and how this film is represented in such a way by cultural intermediaries to promote the consumption of this particular film by the consumers. So production, consumption, and mediation of cultural product is around representation. Okay, therefore it's important to look at the structures and technologies that produce these representation. So how this representation about any other cultural product is produced, the various structures and technologies. So there comes the importance of media culture. Okay, various structures and technologies involved in creating this representation around cultural products or connected to cultural product, that need to be studied under cultural studies. As cultural intermediaries, production and consumption pivot under media and advertisement and other media related marketing techniques. Cultural intermediaries, they actually these production and consumption, they promote, cultural intermediaries promote these two things, and they are actually come under media culture. And basically in media culture, cultural intermediaries are advertisements and other media related marketing techniques. So we need to study them in deep, how they are creating representation, how they are using and exploiting various kind of structures and technologies in order to create these representation. Thereby communication happens, and communication is all about language, discourse, and and representation, language, discourse, representations are important tenets, important concepts in cultural studies. So I hope that was clear how media culture and cultural studies are important, how media culture is important in cultural studies. Now let's see some concepts related to media studies. So media means technologies of communication. See, we are using various kinds of media in order to communicate various information, in order to provide entertainment, in order to communicate various things. So we have mass media present there in the form of TV, radio, newspaper, magazines, and we one to one also we are using certain technologies in order to communication, like for example telephone we are using as a medium in order to communicate with people, and it's not a mass medium. Okay, so media, generally we can define media as a technology that we are using for communication, or technologies of communication. They engage in meaning production and its dissemination. Here we can take the example of TV, which is so popular and everybody knows about it. So they engage. So TV, who all are there behind the screen, they are engaging in meaning production. That means they create various programs representing many things, and even TV channel itself, they have an ideology to follow, even though they are not proclaiming these ideologies publicly. They won't acknowledge, take the example of Kairali TV, if you know Kairali TV or any other TV, they'll have their own propaganda, their own kind of ideologies to follow, even though they are not publicly announcing that they are following this particular ideology. So according to that ideology, by keeping that in their mind, they'll create products, they'll create programs. Products in the sense programs. In TV it is programs. So products or programs in TV, and they will broadcast them, and they will create a meaning. They will have certain representations in that programs, and they will propagate meaning, and they will communicate. So basically they are producing meanings, and they are disseminating, they are circulating these meanings among the people. There are one-to-one media and mass media. So like I said, one-to-one media means when we talk to other persons on one-to-one basis, then that is one-to-one media. And we are talking to a large amount of people, like TV programs, they are communicating to a large amount of people, or newspaper disseminated to a large amount of people, then that is mass media. Mass medium has effects upon large group of people, so they are integral to culture. So how more than one-to-one communication, mass medium got a more effect upon a large group of people. See, TV programs, they are intended to view by mass amount of people in a community or all over the world. So they apply and they have an effect. So mass medium programs, or whatever they are doing, take the example of newspaper or internet. So this mass medium, this mass media, they have an effect, an impact upon large group of people. So they are so integral to culture. So this mass media, they are so integral to culture. Why? Because they are having an effect or impact upon large group of people. Okay, if it is about large group of people, it's about a group of people, then that is definitely about culture too. Mass media constitute a public space as they generate influence, opinion, and create markets. See, since they are influencing, they are integral to culture, and they are having an impact and effect upon a large group of people. They have a public space, they constitute, or they are maintaining a public space of their own, and they generate influence. Because of the public space that the mass media have, they generate influence, they generate opinion, and they generate market. So this is how this mass media, the advertisements or marketing strategies happening in mass media, they are acting like cultural intermediaries. So because of the public space possessed by mass media, they create influence. They will influence the opinion of people, the general perception of people, and they will create opinions among people, and thereby they also create a market for the products that are already produced. And media studies is all about the role of media in construction of cultural values, how media created, how what are the roles played by media in constructing cultural values, since it got an influence and opinion, and it can create markets in that public space. Because of that, we have to study the role of media in creation of cultural values, its circulation of symbolic values. Symbolic values means that we get, it's not that we are simply using all these products available there. See, we are actually attributing or giving as a kind of symbolic or higher level value when we use certain objects. See, take the example of Horlicks, which we have already discussed in the previous video. So in Horlicks nowadays, we can see that in that particular advertisement, they are not telling about their product, they are not telling about the services that they are giving, but they are telling about a particular concept, and they are actually connecting that symbolic value, that value that they are sharing there symbolically to their product. Okay, women empowerment, that particular concept which are relevant today so much. Every other platform is nowadays discussing something or other about it, and that is connected to this product, and they are promoting their image by creating and circulating this symbolic value related to that that particular product. So in that way, media is actually play a role in creating and constructing such cultural values and circulating the symbolic values, and its production of desire for the production. So mainly because of cultural intermediaries such as advertisement and market promotions and all, media we can see that the desire for purchasing products also happening there, which are central to cultural studies as well. So we are actually studying these things, these construction of cultural values, creation and circulation of symbolic values, and production of desire for the produce or products. So all these things are related to media culture or media studies, so that are central to cultural studies as well. That's why we are studying media culture in cultural studies. Now in cultural studies, not only media culture is studied, but also the economic of media. See, media is always, or production of anything, any meaning or any cultural artifact is always related to economics or finance. So it has a financial side. So media culture is not only associated to this communication and dissemination of meaning and all, but it is also related to economic, to as a economic side to it. So cultural studies also study not only the media culture but the economic side of media too. Media culture is political and ideological. That means that every media has its own political views and its own ideological views. Political views, you can understand what is it, and ideology means everybody has, I have an ideology and belief system, and standing upon that ideological belief system that I am doing everything, that I am perceiving the world. A similar case with media also has an ideological ground, a belief system. Certain things are there that they are believing, they are following, and this belief system will prompt them to act in a particular way when they confront with an issue. See, suppose there happened a political issue. Every day some political issues are happening, right? So various media see this political event in different ways, right? So someone will condemn it, someone will support it, someone will act like they didn't get this any news about this particular political issue happened. So in that way, because of their ideological viewpoints and on the grounds of their ideological viewpoints, they'll act. So media culture is always political and ideology. Not only media culture, even individuals are acting upon their own political views, their own ideological frames that they have inside their mind, and that actually controls every other perceptions and every other actions that we are carrying out in our life. Media culture glorifies many things that are existing as inequalities, oppression, and social values. You see, if you take serials happening in Indian series especially, let's talk about Indian serials. Indian serials in Indian Hindi or Malayalam or whatever uh, media, whatever TV channels, you can see this, there you will find daughter-in-laws, there you will find mother-in-laws, they will justify, they will portray the daughter-in-law such a way that you must be obedient, you must be all who must be wearing traditional dress, who must be always act subordinate to their elders, who must not be working outside the house, must be doing all the chores of house. So such kind of an image portrayed, and who will be suffering a lot without any question, without any complaint, suffering everything, and supporting the family in any other adverse kind of situations. And even though that daughter-in-law will suffer, will tolerate any other kind of abuses faced by her, so in that way daughter-in-laws are portrayed in that light. So media culture sometimes, and most of the times, they will glorify many things such as existing inequalities, oppression, and social values. Okay, media culture also reflect multiple sides of contemporary debates and issues. So not only they are reinforcing sometimes inequalities, oppressions, and social values, some images that are there already in the society, they will reinforce them, but they will bring about various kinds of multiple kinds of viewpoints related to contemporary issues and debates going on. And media culture helps to reinforce the hegemony and power of specific political, cultural, and economic groups. Since media has its own political and ideological viewpoint, standing on that ground, they will reinforce, they will emphasize, they will give more stress to that specific political power, that specific hegemonical power, that specific economic group or cultural facts that they have ideologically believing. So in that way, media culture is not that pure from, or it's not that neutral. It has its own political and ideological standpoints, and on the basis of that, they will glorify or they will oppress many ideas and ideologies. They will propagate something while they will oppress something. The representation in media are either suggestive or provocative. So we can see various kinds of representations in media. They will be either suggestive or provocative. So representations in media can be of two types. They will be either suggestive or provocative. So suggest means they will suggest ideologies. To ideologies like a good woman, Indianness. So such ideologies they will promote, or they will alert people about such kind of ideologies. Okay, they will ideologies, they will sometimes they will suggest some ideologies, sometimes they will provocate about ideologies. They will make you alert about certain ideologies. See, during vote election, this is so obvious, this is so clear that they'll suggest many things about the opposite ideologies, opposite parties ideologies. They'll suggest and they'll make you alert. In Kerala, you can see that the last election witnessed many things. Many political parties came up with, I don't want to mention the exact names, but you can understand. See, Shabarimala issue as a great issue happened, and they actually alerted many things. And some other political parties, they actually brought about some other political things, and they suggested many things, and also they made provocative ideologies and representations. So in that way, representations can be as suggestive and provocative in media. Media does not need to declare its ideologies, but can be suggestive. Moving on, media culture is provocative in the sense it will make us rethink what we believe or reinforce what we believe. So media culture is provocative. It can suggest many things and it can alert about many things. So it will get we will get alert by seeing something in media when it is provocative in its representation, and it will make us as viewers, as consumers of all these programs broadcasted in media, we will rethink about what we are believing by seeing the representation, provocative representation of media, or by seeing that provocative representation we will also get reinforced what we are already believing. So in cultural studies of popular media culture seeks to bring to the surface the ideologies and political ideas hidden in mass media entertainment. So basically what cultural studies is doing in media culture, or cultural studies, what they are basically doing in relation with media culture. So they are mainly seeking this kind of ideologies, this kind of suggestions, then these kind of provocative ideologies that they are representing in their programs in media, generally in mass media, and they wanted to, through cultural studies, they are trying to bring about these ideologies, bring about these representations to the surface, and to the surface. So that's the major thing that they are doing. Okay, so bring about these ideologies, hidden agendas of mass media entertainment. So the programs that we are seeing in the name of entertainment, they are actually promoting lot of things, lot of they are reinforcing many things, like the ideal woman, ideal Indian woman, Indianness, and also you can see in films, in TV serials, in advertisements, many things are reinforced and many things are there for us to rethink about what we are believing. So what kind of ideologies, what kind of political ideas hidden there in mass media entertainment, and unearth them and bring them into surface. So that is the major thing that cultural studies is doing in connection with or by studying cultural or media culture. Okay, media culture is studied in cultural studies by analyzing film, TV serials, and advertisements. So various cultural intermediaries or various programs that are there in a media that are studied. So mainly about entertainment programs are there, films are there, TV serials are there, advertisements are there, propaganda programs are there, news items are there. So by studying all these items that we have there in media, we are actually studying media culture through analyzing these things in cultural studies. And this study of media culture in cultural studies involve an analysis of the form of representation. See, take the example of films or TV serials or advertisements. You can analyze the forms of representation, what kind of symbols are used there. Symbols in the sense, take the example of daughter-in-law in Indian serials or mother-in-law of Hindi serials. Take the example of daughter-in-laws. So there are certain symbols. They'll be wearing traditional dresses, usually saris or kurta very rarely saris. They'll be wearing the sindoors, and they'll be quitting their jobs. If they are working, they won't be promoted, their education won't be get promoted. Even then, even if they are getting education, that's for the purpose of their own family, they are not allowed to work, they will be suffering, they'll be taking all these responsibilities of the house chore, and it is not they are not allowed to question anything. Without any question, they have to tolerate all these abuses. So using many symbols and representations, they are actually promoting the ideology, or they are actually representing the image of a good daughter-in-law in Indian culture. Okay, so they are reinforcing this symbol, this image that is there already. They are not actually breaking down it, they are not actually presenting an alternative, which is not actually the bahu or the daughter-in-law that they are presenting in the TV serials. They are far away from the reality what is happening now. But since it is a popular ideology, it's the patriarchal ideology present there, TV serials usually exploit this ideology and they provide entertainment, and in the name of entertainment they try to reinforce this kind of images about daughter-in-laws or women generally. So first they analyze the forms of representation in the form of symbols, analyze political ideologies embedded in this representation like family, Indianness, development, womanhood, Indian womanhood, ideal daughter-in-law. So in that way, political ideologies. So we analyze the political along with the forms of representation. We analyze the political ideologies embedded in the representation. So the representation contains various political ideologies. So we unearth them. Analyze the financial sources of these representations, how they get financially support in order to create this representation, what are the financial sources of this this particular program, how they got financially how they got representation. So analyze that economic side of media representations or media programs. Examine the roles played by other objects, people in propagating this ideology, how people are playing their roles in propagating this ideology, and what all kinds of objects that they are using, what all kinds of characters that they are using, and how real people they are involved in propagating this ideology, especially in TV serials and films and advertisements, such as advertisements and all. So you have to analyze these things while we are studying media culture in cultural studies. So as a conclusion, let me tell you these points. Cultural studies focuses on media culture because it assumes that the media are very significant contributors to ideologies and political culture. See, why cultural studies is too much interested in media culture? Because media culture or media, they are very significant contributors. They have a very significant contribution to ideologies and political culture. See, since they have a public space, see, mass media has a public space with them. So because of that, they can influence, they can comment, and they can actually produce and represent, and they can even make people to rethink about their ideology. So this kind of a significant influence is there for media culture upon people, upon society, upon groups of society. So in that way, they are acting as a significant contributors to ideologies and political culture. That's why cultural studies gives utmost importance to media culture too. And media culture mostly supports the hegemony of specific power groups. See, media, they will have their own propaganda, their own political sides, and their own ideologies. So they mostly support the hegemony of a specific power groups. Okay, they won't go, it's not that any other media is neutral. In this current scenario, nobody can be neutral, and it's not possible to. They'll have their own ideologies, and from the ground of that ideology, they'll support specific power groups. Media, and that's how their representations will become either suggestive or provocative. Media culture marks suppressive conditions of class, gender, and often the economic angle to cultural ideologies of the family and the law. So media culture often they mark suppressive conditions of cultural gender. It's not that they are always talking about specific power group, but media has a good power, good space to represent many more things related to society, such as class, gender, and economic angle to cultural ideologies of the family or the law, and bring about attention of the masses to that point of views. Okay, so because of these reasons, this power and significance that media culture holds, because of that, cultural studies focuses on media culture. See, I hope this video was clear to you about media culture and how it is relevant in cultural studies. If you have any doubts, queries, please mention them all in the comment section, or you can directly message me or WhatsApp me or call me and ask me in this number given on the screen. If you have any further doubts, I'll be glad to clear them as well as I could. And if you are interested to have free study materials related to NTA, UGC NET, JRF, English language and literature, then you can follow me on Instagram. My ID is here, because we are planning too many things in 2022 sooner or later. And also don't forget to visit my website, even if you are not interested in taking up any of the courses that we are providing, and if you are studying on your own, this can be helpful. This visit to my website can be helpful in order to guide you about what you need to study, what you need to collect, about what you need to collect study materials, and how you should have a chronological study. So everything is arranged chronologically and systematically there, and along with the 15% off in fee structure, you can have the course now. So if you are interested to be a part of a family as a student, so come and join. You are most welcome here, and have the 2 bonuses after joining the courses. One is weekly test in every Saturdays, and also second is personalized study guidelines. This will keep you in touch with the literature, in touch with whatever you have learned, and it will provide you more information that you have already learned. So thank you guys for watching this video, and if you are viewing my video for the first time and you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel if you are interested, and also press the bell icon so that I don't want you to miss any of the video updates that we are making in this channel. So that's all about it. So thank you guys for watching this video so far, and I hope every other best thing for you in your life, and keep loving literature and happy learning. Thank you.